The image machine. Studios in the 1930s to 1950s didn't just make movies. They built catalog biographies, new names, rewritten backstories, lighting that softened skin tone, even edited family origins. The goal was simple: sell a universal dream with no sharp edges. What counted as sharp? Anything read as non-white. Talent was welcome until questions about heritage showed up. Then contracts got thinner, roles smaller, interviews shorter. From 1934 to 1954, the Hays Code set the weather. Publicity departments ballooned, and correct files followed. In MGM and Paramount paperwork, you see press sheet rewrites and appearance clauses, language that effectively discouraged talking about one's background in public. Trade columns had a blunt fix: change the name, remove the questions. Margarita Cancino became Rita Hayworth. Starting in 1937, they reworked the name, hairline, and photo sets. Lena Horne in the 1940s recorded musical numbers staged so Southern theaters could snip them per distributor notes. After Imitation of Life, 1934, Freddie Washington refused to pass. Agent correspondents framed her as having a too specific biography, and the roles dried up. One truth never changed: the camera loved honesty. Marketing preferred fog. Why did it work? Because the box office feared risk. Because markets were segregated. Because one extra shade in a backstory and half the states started whispering. On screen, the romantic ideal. Off screen, strict rules. Don't specify. Don't comment. Stay on brand. Press releases were tailored. Childhoods upgraded to perfect suburbia. Radio chats gently edited. The lighter the skin, the easier it was to leave it vague. The darker the skin, the harder the push toward a stereotype or a fabricated exotic. In the 1930s to 1950s, RKO and 20th Century Fox, per internal notes, issued market-specific press books, bios trimmed to fit local papers. Anna May Wong in the late 1930s, by producers' accounts, fielded only safe radio questions. Personal topics were cut. During the Samuel Goldwyn stretch for Merle Oberon, The Dark Angel, 1935, Wuthering Heights, 1939, press copy floated a distant origin. Columns teased a mysterious childhood. Dolores del Rio in the 1930s was packaged as Latin exotic in advertising. Look amplified, biography blurred. On the poster, myth. Backstage, edits and caveats. And here's the first fracture. Someone says, no. Refusing to fit the marketing mold cost people contracts, but those no's gave us performances without self-betrayal. It was rarely loud, a quiet choice, and suddenly the romantic lead vanishes from the schedule, replaced by the friend with 5 scenes. The actor keeps their self and loses screen time. In 1943 to 1944, Olivia de Havilland said no to forced roles. Warner Brothers sent suspension notices, and the de Havilland decision, 1944, followed freedom to choose after months on the bench. In the late 1950s, Sidney Poitier, per agent's notes, turned down scripts built on subservient types. The tide shifted after The Defiant Ones, 1958. Saying no shrank the screen, then widened the horizon. Next up, how exotic became a workaround for studio taboos and why that fix was a trap. Some studios found a middle path. Hide the real biography, but keep the star's potential. The fix was Latin or South Seas instead of a real nation, makeup to shift tone. A shorter, softer name. The audience got a diversity pass without the reality of segregation. Marketing was happy. The box office held. The truth stayed offstage. At Universal in 1942 to 1944, Maria Montez and Sabu carried the South Seas line. Arabian Nights, 1942, Cobra Woman, 1944. Press books dissolved nationality into exotic, pushing color and costume. In Ali Baba and the 40 Thieves, 1944, and South of Tahiti, 1941, call sheets tagged types as native or exotic, with no culture attached per marketing departments, it played easier in southern markets. Have you noticed how often, in classic films, the foreigner has no country and the exotic comes with no real culture? The gap between talent and the theater marquee. Mixed roots rarely hurt the craft, they hurt the sales team. Even top-tier stars hit a glass ceiling. Too bold for family advertising, not European enough for the romantic ideal. And this despite big city audiences being ready for something new. It was the national marketing playbook that wasn't ready. Distribution notes for Pinky, 20th Century Fox, 1949 logged local bans and canceled showings across the South, while New York and Chicago held steady at the box office. Island in the Sun, 1957, with Harry Belafonte, opened to pickets and pulled ads in several counties, yet launched cleanly in major houses. As columnists put it then, exotic sells better than the truth. When posters came down, the audience still showed up. On stages, on air, on tour. Next, how live performance gave the voice back when the film market took it away. Pressure has a limit. Some went on concert tours, some to the theater, some into activism. It didn't always save a film career, but it restored control. After breaking with Hollywood, Paul Robeson filled halls and cut a Carnegie Hall program in 1958. Reviews called it a sellout run. Eartha Kitt, blacklisted after her 1968 remark at the Johnson White House luncheon, moved to Europe. Paris and London kept her on stage and returned to Broadway with Timbuktu, 1978 on her own terms. And then came what the studios underestimated. Public admissions changed the rules. It took a few stars saying their roots out loud for the line to move. Reporters got a frame. This was fair game. Audiences got a language. The industry learned that truth doesn't break an image, it makes it breathe. The pressure didn't vanish. A new look wasn't a repeal of the old rules. But the crack appeared. From 1951 to 1957, Desi Arnaz said Cuban on CBS and on TV guide covers. The accent wasn't softened, it became part of the brand. After West Side Story 1961, Rita Moreno spoke in interviews about Puerto Rican roots and Hollywood typecasting. Columns noted that saying it out loud had become acceptable at her level. And in 1961, Sammy Davis Jr. publicly embraced Judaism. Variety wrote that identity had moved from gossip to culture and politics. Next, the paradox. Atypical faces and voices give you what makeup and a dialect coach can't. Paradoxes of success. The strange thing, it was the non-standard faces that gave frames a magic you can't fake. Mixed roots show up in movement, in accents, in phrasing you can't learn in 3 weeks. The camera loves truth. Getting to it and keeping it is the hard part. Anthony Quinn, Mexican-Irish, turned Not the Mold into pure screen energy. 2 supporting actor Oscars. Viva Zapata, 1952, Ceremony 1953, and Lust for Life 1956, Ceremony 1957. Carmen Miranda made Technicolor a tempo, not a prop. The lady in the Tutti Frutti hat in The Gang's All Here, 1943, reads in reviews as a style you can't reproduce. Accent and movement are the point. And in Flower Drum Song 1961, James Shigeta played the romantic lead without the usual Euro mask. Columns noted the screen finally accepting the voice as it is. Let's go deeper. How did these mechanics change the roles themselves? Buffer roles versus manifesto roles. Give a performer with a difficult bio a socially safe part, and the film goes flat. Fear deletes conflict. Give them a role that resolves conflict honestly, and the film gets braver. Sometimes, it's not a blockbuster, it's a chamber drama. Sometimes, it's a musical, with one sharp number you can't cut without breaking the rhythm. Those are the roles that last. A clear buffer role. Song of India, 1949. Columbia. Call sheets list the female type as native girl with no culture or address. The press book smooths out any context. A clear manifesto role. South Pacific, 1958. You've got to be carefully taught. Stayed in despite pressure to soften the theme. Several bookers called it too direct. Another honest case. A Patch of Blue, 1965. Some Southern theaters removed intimacy scenes, yet that very directness gave the film its impact and awards. Next. How the industry learned to admit mistakes. From cuts to restorations. From exotic to lived experience. How the industry learned to correct itself. Yes, there was pushback. But over time, films stopped treating exotic as a prop and started treating it as the character's experience. Music wasn't just background, it came from the character's home. Language wasn't a punchline, it was someone's mother tongue. Audiences weren't against specificity, they were against fakery. In the 2000s to 2010s, reissues of Imitation of Life 1959 and Giant 1956 added clear curator notes explaining how studios once hid biographies and polished images. At special screenings by the UCLA Film and Television Archive and on Turner Classic Movies, original lines and previously cut scenes came back. The program said it plainly: context is part of the film. Don't hide it. Do you notice when a film dodges specifics? Or do you prefer when the script says things plainly? If you're here for movies without the mask, stick around. Leave a small signal so the platform knows this deep dive is worth continuing. And tell us in the comments which film was more honest than its trailer. Your picks become our next case study. See you soon.